Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show, brought to you by Over the Bar. Back tonight for some predictions of match week 19, and joined by Peter this fine evening. Peter, how are you doing?
Doing well. It's always great to be back in the Bundesrepublik and always a treat to talk Bundesliga with you.
Smashing stuff. So, yeah, we've got lots of games to look forward to. We can even maybe pass comments on the game that happened last night. Before we do any of that, of course, please do smash thumbs up on the show. That'd be greatly appreciated. Comment along with your thoughts and feelings. And, of course, make sure you press that red button to subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss out on any of this delightful content that we're bringing your way week in, week out. Big shout out to our great partners, Bundesliga Boxes, and indeed Bully News as well. And we'll be checking in with Runa, of course, tomorrow morning for fantasy football fun. So yes, all the Fs. We'll kick off in a moment. Good evening, Erin. Thanks very much for tuning in from Philly, as always. Great to see you watching. Let's get started with a few predictions, and then maybe when we come to the Bayern match, we can reflect a little bit on their performance, and similarly with Union. I think there's certainly a few wild things that we'd like to maybe pass comment on from last night's action. We'll start off with Frankfurt versus Mainz, the Friday night fixture. Naturally, Mainz haven't been in action for a little while because of postponements from last weekend. So maybe be feeling a little bit of ring rust in there. And obviously they're facing a Frankfurt side who have got a bit more traction so far the second half of the season. With obviously a good win against Leipzig, but be cursing themselves after letting that 2-goal lead slip, Peter. I'm feeling for this one, despite the fact that Mainz have been looking better performance-wise, maybe that lack of football will pay to any of their credentials or possibilities of getting 3 points. So I'm going to say 2-1 to the home side. What do you reckon?
I will go ahead for 3-1, assuming that Dino Topmüller has learned his lessons tactically from last week. Probably be interested to know that both Faris Chaibi and Elias Skiri are back from the Africa Cup of Nations, having been eliminated. So a very powerful squad gets more powerful. I think a big 3-home win for the Rhein-Main Adler.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. And we'll start to see the impact of people coming home earlier in the knockouts and teams maybe really benefiting from that. So, Frankfurt will be very, very pleased to see that. So, Peter, you can lead on this next one. So we'll pop in your prediction into the scores on this occasion. I'll share my thoughts after you take the lead. So what do you reckon to Wolfsburg versus Köln?
Well, a very difficult match to predict, given the fact that Niko Kovac is quite famous for messing up his tactics and mismanaging his squad, and he did so again last week. But Kölner crisis continues. Jan Thielmann began as the center forward last week, which was embarrassing to watch. He just does not have the height to compete at that position. Looks like Mark Schulz is talking about giving Justin Deal the start at center forward this time. A good idea, but I don't think it's going to work. 2-0 for Wolfsburg would be my tip.
Yeah, in as much as Wolfsburg are very hard to predict what they might come out with, I can't see past a home win, so I'd have to agree. 2-0 is pretty much the spot on scoreline. What a terrible indictment it is on the likes of Tigges and co, who were on the bench as well last week for Köln. Really kind of hammers home the fact that they're really struggling for those goals in a squad that is really depleted, regrettably. Next up, we've got Hoffenheim versus Heidenheim. This could be a pretty tasty encounter and quite exciting to watch. We've in the last few weeks, of course, talked plenty of Hoffenheim's attacking muscle and maybe a lack of defending players and maybe even the want to defend. And the kind of mixed up thinking of Pellegrino Matarazzo. With that in mind, the way that Heidenheim approach the game and are vulnerable themselves, you've got to imagine this is going to be a game that includes plenty of goals. So I'm going to go for a hopeful and very exciting 4-2 win for the home side. Peter, what do you reckon?
Well, we got a great match in the Hinrunde, I should say, when these two teams, there were 5 goals between them, and that was the famous crash in the Allbogen when Heidenheim squandered their lead. I'm going to tip Heidenheim to exact revenge upon Hoffenheim, also given Hoffenheim's poor away form. Wow, we have a viewer from Guadalajara. Yes, Sportbild is reporting that. Well, we'll get to that when we get to the Dortmund match, perhaps.
Yeah.
But in any event, yes, I believe that Heidenheim played extremely strongly against Wolfsburg last week. They had a couple of goals disallowed. I believe they go to Sinsheim to the Prezero Arena, which Hoffenheim do not have great home form there.
Very true. Yeah.
And they exact revenge. So we're going to get a perfect mirror here, what Germans call a perfect Spiegel special, with FC Heidenheim winning 3-2.
Very interesting. Yeah, the home form of Hoffenheim is a very good point that you raise actually there, Peter. Heidenheim are so terribly poor on the road, though, for me. I think that's obviously the points differential speaks for itself. So we'll leave it as 4-2, but you can lead us on the next encounter, which is SV Werder Bremen, who will be absolutely bouncing after their impressive win, of course, over by Munich. And they host Sport Club Freiburg, who are also starting to get a little bit of momentum. So how do you see this one going?
Well, Bremen will have Marvin Duksch back from suspension. It's also foreseeable that Rafael Santos Borre may start upside along top with him, although Njinma had a great match against Bayern. I think that the Sport Club, it's very, very difficult to pick between these two teams because both of them are rounding into form. The Sport Club, just wonderful tactics from Christian Streich last week. I was so very impressed. So perhaps this is a hopeful tip, but I'm going to go for a 4-goal thriller and a 2-2 draw there at the Weserstadion.
2-2 draw is what we'll lock it in as. I would tend to agree with you. It's going to be a really competitive game, this, and both teams finding their form. Be interesting to see how well Werder are able to back that up, and maybe in a game where they're expected to have more of the ball and maybe less counter-attacking and be, expected to create more themselves. Excuse me. So I'll go with I'll go with a 2-1 away win just to be a bit different. I think Freiburg are really starting to hit their straps. So yeah, we'll see with that one. Next up then is a lovely Bavarian derby for us. FC Augsburg host Bayern Munich, who of course were able to win their game in hand midweek last night against Union Berlin, 1-0, thanks to Rafa Guerreiro's goal. It was slightly better, I guess, than the Werder match. Not an awful lot better. Eric Dyer obviously came on to play most of the second half. Was chances here and there. I was able to watch some of the game, not all of it, I must admit. And Augsburg are a side that are just so impressive at the moment under Thorup. They never know when they're defeated. It's always been a kind of Augsburg-y type, ethos or skill that they have for me. So this really presents an interesting game, I reckon. I think Bayern will just edge it. I'm going to say 2-1, but I think it will be a really entertaining game, this.
Yeah, I've been back and forth on this game all day based on the injury updates. Of course, for those who missed out on it last night, the main story emanating from Union Bayern was not the fact that Bayern got a home win, but rather the fact that FC Union trainer Nenad Bielka did the Sadio Mane and proceeded to slap Leroy Sané in the face when he was...
boy.
Yes. Indeed. Unfortunately, there was no Thursday kicker in my region of the Bundesrepublik today because of the train strike. So I was even going to, just get it so I could have a picture to show you. I did save you the Monday kicker, which had a puff piece on Bielka, the Uralte Schule. He's from the old school. Well, we really found out how old that school happens to be.
Very, very old school, yeah.
So this is a huge match. It is a Bavarian derby. As a matter of fact, I was leaning towards Augsburg for the win until I realized that Joshua Kimmich has actually been ruled out. So Joshua Kimmich has been ruled out. Daya Upamecano has been ruled out. It looks like Eric Dyer will get the start. Konrad Leimer is also ruled out. 3 injuries Bayern sustained in yesterday's match. So we've been, those of us who cover the Bundesliga on a daily basis have been back and forth on this and everything. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Bayern win, although Mark and I in attendance at the match would love to film a matchday vlog in which Augsburg pull up the upset victory. And I think that's based on the fact that Alexander Pavlovic will get the start in midfield and will pick up where he left off.
Yeah, very, very good points. And that'll be a cracking game, a bit of a sneak peek as what is to come from yourself and Mark. Next up, I'll gladly let you lead on this one, Peter, because I hate calling this. And I had great fun chatting with with a couple of RB Leipzig chaps on their podcast last evening, actually, and kind of previewing the game in that sense. So I'll gladly let you lead and see what your thoughts are.
Well, we talked a lot about what an excellent game Leipzig played against Leverkusen and just the technical brilliance of Xavi Simons on that first goal, the fact that Olmo had an incredibly strong match, the fact that Openda finished well, the fact that Šeško is really, though he still takes too many touches and makes things a little bit too complicated, can still be. This RB system 4-2-2-2 from Marco Rosa has produced 2 games which Leipzig should have won this season. And unfortunately for Stuttgart fans, it looks to be the case that I think they will get rolling in this one and they will go ahead and complete a 2-0 victory. From a Stuttgart perspective, Atakan Karazor is suspended. That does not help the midfield. Sebastian Hoeneß at his press conference today committed to moving Enzo Milo back there to pair with Jalo Stiller. So, and Milo he did play deep fairly well, I think, in that first match of the new calendar year. But it will once again be Joscha Wagnermann probably moving up to the attacking position as well. He talked about doing that. So I think it will be a valiant effort from the Cannstatter, from the Württembergers. But this is really where Leipzig, it's their turn to shine and finally grab this victory. 2-0.
2-0 it is. For my penny's worth, I said 2-2 on the podcast last night. So I'll stick with that. Obviously, Stuttgart's record against Leipzig is particularly dreadful. So yeah, it could well continue in that sense. And yeah, it's exactly what I said, Peter, in terms of the Karazor replacement. I thought Mio would slot in there rather than throwing in someone like Lilian Egluf. I think it's obviously a young chap as well. So yeah, we'll see how that goes with Wagnermann, obviously presumably pushing forward. So yeah, we will see. The next game is Leverkusen versus Borussia Mönchengladbach. Again, promises to be a very exciting day in this. One of our regular viewers, actually, Jay, a fantasy football fan, is off to watch this game actually as well. So we've got loads of people out and about at the grounds and the games this weekend. So fantastic stuff. I hope he has a cracking time. And yeah, in terms of calling this one, Leverkusen, we've talked about loads already, and the fact that they're getting through. They're kind of doing, champion moments, not necessarily full performances in the first 2 games, but they've obviously had those moments, those last-minute goals against a rather unpredictable Gladbach side because, we've seen the best and the worst of them already. And they could rock up and win 4-0 Gladbach. They're so unpredictable. They really are. Maybe not 4-0, but you catch my drift. But either way around, I will go for a home winner. I'm going to say 3-1. I think it'll be a Leverkusen side a bit more comfortable this weekend.
Yes, it should be a very interesting match. We've seen Leverkusen actually have trouble on set pieces. In particular, I give Xabi the benefit of the doubt. I think he'll be drilling them rather hard in training this week. It gives us an opportunity to hear you to answer Gavin's question about Frimpong. I have to wait for Xavi's presser tomorrow. I don't know. He has been training with the team.
Yeah.
It might be the case that Xavi decides not to chance it. And he has two options there. Nathan Tella performed very well in that slot. And Josip Stanisic would love the opportunity to play in the right wing-back role. So we shall see about that. I'm actually have a little bit of a stunning pick here. I think that Gladbach, really, there were several players on that Glabach side that just had unimaginably horrible games, including my American Joe Scally against Augsburg last week. And I think that we're going to see a draw. No fears. Leverkusen remain undefeated. The hopes of an undefeated season live on. But I think that we're going to see a 2-2 draw. And this time, Leverkusen don't get the late winner.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, okay. As well for Gavin in relation to Davis as well. Obviously, we've just gone past Bayern, but naturally, Guerrero started from the left midweek, got the match-winning goal. So there are, certainly murmurs of him again not starting. We'll try and cover that a little bit more detail tomorrow morning. So if you, sorry, go on, Peter.
Most of the German press is speculating that he will start.
Okay. Right.
The message was sent with his benching, and I think Tuchel would rather have Guerrero in midfield with Kimmich out. So most of the German press is speculating that he will start.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny, I'll let you know what podcast I was on in a moment's time once we're done with the last two predictions. So if you fancy giving it a listen, you can indeed do. And you reckon that VfB will get the win, I believe. Yes. Last two then, another rather epic tie. I think this is the Sunday early game, if I'm not mistaken. So Union Berlin take on Darmstadt in this massive relegation 6-pointer. I can't remember which way around we are now, Peter. Am I leading on this one or not?
I'm going to give this one to you. This is a tough one.
Yeah, so generous. Union Berlin, Darmstadt. Union weren't bad last night. Darmstadt got the momentum of obviously the draw, the last minute goal. Darmstadt are really going to struggle away from home. I'm struggling with this one. I really am. I'm gonna. I'll side with Union Berlin mainly just through home support and pure belief. But again, it's going to be a close one. Peter, you can shoot me down if you quite like to.
I hope I'm wrong. I sincerely hope I'm wrong. I hope that Chris Bedia scores a brace and Luca Pfeiffer scores a hat trick. But on planet Earth, I think that this probably has the feel of a 0-0 draw to it.
Yeah.
I sincerely hope that I'm wrong.
Well, it's hard to argue against that as well. Right then, Peter, talk us through Dortmund Bochum to finish off.
Well, there's quite a bit to talk about here. Gavin was also asking about Gregor Kobel potentially being out. Sportfield is reporting that he will be out. Again, there will be an Aiden Terzic presser tomorrow, and we can provide up to date analysis on that on Bully News. We also have those two great preview meisters who look after all of the information on our site. It looks to be the case that Matt Hummels has only just rejoined training. So we're probably going to have to go with a back three because not only is Niklas Süle hurt, but he came back in horrible shape as he's known to do.
I've read that. Yeah,
from the holidays. So we're probably seeing a back three from Dortmund. If Ian Maatsen can succeed in the midfield, which he did at times during the win against Köln, this could be a big win for Dortmund. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say we get some early goals from the Schwarz-Gelben at home in the Kleines Revier derby. And I think they go on to a 3-1 victory. There's going to be defensive problems at the back because I think they're probably going to have to start this kid, Henry Blankt, who came in, who didn't have a bad debut, but as a starter, it might be different. So 3-1. After the 0-0 draw, tune in for the Revier derby and we have more fun.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Sunday late game always produces, it certainly seems to see quite a lot of derbies, mini derbies this weekend. So there's probably quite. If you want to learn more about those derbies, we've got the Derby Day dive-in still, of course, on the channel. I think we've done a few of these, so make sure you check them out. But yeah, that's it then. So I'll just quickly slide across to what the table might look like if everything comes to pass that we have predicted. We'll have things as they are, more or less at the top of the table, with regrettably Stuttgart maybe dropping outside the top 4. Let's hope that doesn't happen. And then if we slide further down the table, we will see that, well, again, if Union get that win, then, the bottom 3 will be looking rather lonely, Peter, at that. Well, again, if things do happen the way that we kind of mocked things up this evening. But otherwise, great fun to go through all of that. Thank you, everyone that's tuned in. Gavin, Erin, Danny, and everyone else that's been watching. Thank you very much. As mentioned, if you can leave a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe, that would be so very much appreciated. Danny, just for reference, the podcast that I appeared on as a guest last night was the if you want to find them on X, it's at podcast_RBL. So it's RBLE. Global Tracks are RB Leipzig podcast. And had great fun chatting with the two chaps last night. If you go on there, it looks like they've already released it. So if you want to have a little bit of a listen, particularly around the preview of the VfB RB Leipzig match, by all means, check it out and leave a comment and let those guys know. We'd very much like to have them both actually on our show soon. So we'll see if we can arrange that as well. 2 genuine Leipzig chaps. So it was great fun talking with them. So all there is to say is just make sure you pop over to X and check out Over the Bar and at Village Footy and Bully News, and of course Peter's personal account as well. All sorts of fantastic Bundesliga content. You can't go wrong. So that's everything for tonight. Thank you all. Thank you, Peter. And we'll catch you tomorrow morning.